Hello, I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends. Today we're going to be covering the upcoming November update, which drops on Monday, November 7th at 6 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. UTC. As you can see, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently in this patch notes video, but thankfully there is a lot to comment on here, so let's get started. I think I'll just skip over this little blurb here describing what is upcoming in the patch notes, and move on to the meat and potatoes. This, by the way, that you're seeing on screen is the advanced version of the patch notes that Wargaming sends out to the community contributors before they release them publicly. As such, some details in the final public version of these patch notes may be altered. I will, of course, have left a link in the description of this video so that you can read those patch notes for yourself. But let's begin by going over the announcements of the new ships being added to the tech trees at Tier 8. New ships are coming for both the British and the French, and the ships are for Britain: the Tier 8 destroyer Jutland, the Tier 8 cruiser Neptune, and the Tier 8 battleship, some name that I cannot pronounce. I don't even think I want to attempt it. I have no idea how you're supposed to say this, but I can tell you this is a ship name I have never seen before. I don't think it exists on World of Warships PC, which means it is a Legends exclusive. And the reason for that will be because the Tier 9 Tech Tree British battleship HMS Lion is already in World of Warships Legends as a Tier 7 premium. So they had to sort of make up something for Tier 8 for the British battleship line. Hopefully it'll be good. I'll be interested to see. For the French, we have the destroyer Mogador, the cruiser Saint Louis, and the battleship Alsace. You can look forward to some more information on these newcomers in a dedicated article coming very soon, and you can see they've italicized it, so they really mean that article is coming very soon. We shall see. Up next, the campaign for the update. The reward is a Tier 8 Japanese destroyer called Hayate, loosely reminiscent of the Shimakaze, say the patch notes. The Hayate brings a large HP pool and brutal torpedoes, as well as quite a few gunboat characteristics to Tier 8. She's quite the fire starter, owing to her quick reload and solid chances of ignition upon impact, and her firing angles allow for great kiting if you've already unleashed your devastating torpedo volley. Sounds like a ship that I might potentially be interested in. As you may or may not know, I'm not a huge fan of the IJN torpedo boats, but anything that says gunboat, well, I'll be interested to take a look at it. Here's the details on the campaign and all the goodies that you can get along the way with and without the Admiralty backing. But up next, the update is going to fall over Black Friday 2022. So the Black Fleet is returning, and there will be Black Friday discounts available throughout the store during the update, with additional deals dropping in the store at later dates. But most importantly, it will feature 5 new black ships. And this is where things get kind of interesting, starting with the first of these ships, the Italian Tier 3 battleship Dante Alighieri, complete with an alternative SAP shell module and available for free. How lovely. The Dante Alighieri, as we know, is a Tech Tree Italian battleship in the game, so this is a reskinned Tech Tree for free, but it comes with the SAP shells, like the Italian battleships on PC have. And this speaks to the rest of the Black Friday fleet, because they're all Tech Tree ships, except for 2. The next is a Black Friday version of the Tier 8 cruiser Ibuki with improved accuracy, followed by the Tier 5 Italian premium cruiser Duca d'Aosta, a premium, okay, and then the Tier 6 premium destroyer Z39, another premium. But the final Black Friday ship is the German Tier 7 premium battleship Bismarck with upgraded secondary range at the expense of main battery range. Interesting that we have the Ibuki and the Bismarck, premium versions of tech tree ships that exist in the game and you can grind to for free, being sold with what appear to be buffs, improved accuracy on the Ibuki, improved secondary range on the Bismarck, at the expense of main battery range, I suppose. But don't most people play the Bismarck for the secondaries? Don't know what I think of this Black Friday fleet, to be totally honest with you. But we'll have to see how it goes when the ships actually hit the water. Next up, we've got some Pirates content. Apparently, Wargaming has two dedicated captains and their rovers under the British and French flags, and more content available, including a special chest. Pirates are arriving, oh my gosh, on our seas in force. Okay, so there's some sort of pirate content coming, but these patch notes are very opaque in describing what that might be. They do offer a little hint. It says, these pirates prefer French ships, but they don't always fight for France. I'm going to assume that means these are pirate commander guises of some sort. Just a guess. These patch notes don't say, but, well, we'll see. Then we have the announcement of 1v1 ranked duels coming back. No more than that, other than they are coming back, and the season starts on November 10th. Doesn't say a tier, but hopefully it'll be a higher tier, tier 7 maybe. Those 1v1 duels can be pretty fun. But the most exciting part about this update, in my opinion, the Daring Bureau project. The Daring is the tier 10 tech tree British destroyer on PC, and as far as I can tell, it's one of the best destroyers in the entire game. So I'm pretty excited that we are finally getting some sort of high-tier British destroyer that is not the Lightning. That's not to say the Lightning is bad. It is, of course, an excellent tier 7 destroyer, but there are no higher-tier British destroyers than the Lightning. So it's lovely to see that the Bureau is getting daring in addition to it. The project is going to require you to possess British tech tree destroyers Jervis and Lightning, however, to complete certain segments. And that, I suppose, is a good change. Frankly, I'd still prefer to see these legendary tier ships added directly to the tech trees after tier 8, so you actually have to grind for them, rather than existing inside of this Bureau project, but the requirement to own the Jervis and the Lightning, the tier 6 and 7, before you can get the highest tier British destroyer in the game seems reasonable to me. After that, we've got some balance changes for the Ibuki. Looks like it's getting somewhat of a buff. The main battery reload time decreased from 13.7 to 13 seconds stock. Main battery turret traverse likewise improved, and torpedo reload time also improved. Japanese destroyer Yugamo is apparently not far enough from Kagero, hence some basic damage improvements. Torpedo launcher reload time buffed from 100 to 93 seconds, and HP from the stock hull upgraded, and for the upgraded hull upgraded by a couple hundred hit points. I suppose that's not much of a buff at all. A couple seconds off the torpedo reload. Well, I don't think the Yugamo was really in need of any buff, but okay. A ship that probably definitely was in need of a buff, though, is getting one. The tier 8 German cruiser Rune. Apparently they've been fairly content with the Rune, but she is a bit sluggish in close quarters. Honestly, I can't comment too much. I haven't played the ship, but it does not look great to me, and I have not heard the best things. In any case, the main battery turret traverse time is being decreased by a small amount. Then we get to tier 8 Soviet destroyer Delny, aka the most successful tier 8 in the game. Delny is getting hit with a nerf. The maximum battery HE shell damage is decreased from is increased. Oh, it's getting a buff. The Alpha Strike is being increased from 1900 to 2050. And the AP shell damage is being increased from 2600 to 2850. Okay. But the main battery reload time is being increased. So that is in fact a nerf. It's being increased from 4 to 5 seconds. And the turret traverse is being slowed down from 9 to 12 seconds. So one buff to alpha and a nerf to DPM and turret traverse time. Don't really think the Delny needed that, but who am I to say? Next up, Tier 8, Soviet Cruiser Dmitry Donskoy. HP for upgraded hull is increased from 43.4k to 47.4k. Radar consumable duration increased from 20 to 25 seconds. And then the sonar stats have been changed and buffed as well. I did not realize the Dmitry Donskoy either was in need of buffs, but okay. French battleship Champagne. This thing definitely needed some buffs. Glad to see those are coming. Ah yes, the HP is increased from the utterly tragic and useless 52,600 hit points to 57,100. I suppose that's a little bit of a chunk in terms of improvement, but it's still got not a lot of hit points compared to other Tier 7 battleships. That's at least better, though. And then maximum HE shell alpha increased from 61 to 6,700. That actually makes the HE quite a bit more potent. Interesting. And then, oh, the patch notes even say it. Well, you knew it. She needs a buff no matter how you look at it, as there are several areas in which she's lacking, especially compared against the August von Parzival, and that is, of course, the Graf Zeppelin. I recall making my review for that ship and opening with a shot of the ship in the store and saying, if you think that you might want to buy the Graf Zeppelin, I highly advise you to leave the store, go to the bureau, and start one of the free projects for one of these aircraft carriers, because the Graf Zeppelin was, to put it mildly, trash when it was first released, and I'm sure a lot of people bought it anyway, so they will be happy to see these buffs. As for me, I don't think CVs are a thing, so it breaks my heart a little bit whenever any of them get a buff, but Graf Zeppelin, if any CV needed one, it was that. Torpedo damage increased from 5,900 to 7,800. Torpedo speed increased to 48 knots. The torpedo's arm quicker. Secondary battery range increased from 5 to 5.5 km. Those secondaries, by the way, even with the buff to range, are still going to be completely useless unless all you want to do is get memes in that CV, so I wouldn't recommend speccing into them, but hey, you're going to get more range out of them. Then the hangar now holds 15 planes instead of 14, and most importantly, the planes, which turned like Airbuses or something, are more maneuverable. So that is very nice indeed. That's pretty much it, though, for the patch notes. Well, no, not quite it. There is one more thing of great significance, but I do want to gloss over this section about modernization changes. They are changing the main Battery 2 module because it is, as they say, severely lacking. They're making it more attractive by changing the 180-degree turn time bonus from 15 to 20%, and they are removing the debuff to reload time. So this module will now provide you a straight buff to your turret traverse without increasing the reload to your guns. That is fantastic. And likewise, the gunfire control system module 2 is receiving a substantial buff. The main battery range is increased from 5 to 10%. That is very interesting indeed. I wonder if that... I think that's the same module you can put on some destroyers out there. So that may be good for certain gunboat destroyers out there. I'll be very interested to see the changes to that one. As for that, the rest of it, they've changed some descriptions in some of the ships. There's some mobile improvements and some various bug fixes, none of which I think are really worth highlighting. But this, the one more thing, port selection is going to be here. We're finally going to be able to choose our port background and we're getting 5 of them to begin with. Fjords, Nagasaki, Marseille, or Marseille? How do you pronounce that in French? I don't know. Ocean, and Hamburg. So this will be nice. I will especially like this Ocean one. Well, frankly, I'll like all of them because I'll actually be able to make more usable thumbnails and control the background for videos and the like, so that's fantastic. Plus, it might just be nice to have a change of scenery from time to time in the port. But really, that's all there is to this update. I don't know what I think is the most attractive part. I'd say the Bureau project is the most interesting part to me. I'm a little bit skeptical about this Black Fleet in that it is repurposed free tech tree ships with buffs that are being sold for doubloons, but we'll cover that in more detail at a bit of a later time once we actually have the ships to play. That's all I have for you today, though, in this video, so hope you enjoyed it. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.